You are listening to the Sportcat Show.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the master of deception, trying to figure out which button to push. Sportcat, I am large and in charge. I have no idea how I hit that button. I mean, I'm not unhappy with hitting the button, but how the hell? Oh, I know what I did. I hit that button. Okay, well, that's cool.
I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew.
Hell yeah, it's a true story, so. Oh, and then tonight we have something happening. It's, okay, that's way too much noise. So I can't deal with it. All right. I'm going to stop pushing buttons. Wait a minute. That's Radio Moscow coming in. What the hell's going on here? I don't know what the hell I'm doing. You'd think I'd be in charge. They call me a boss jock, and, well, I call myself a boss jock. So, okay, everybody. I'm done with the silliness for the moment. Trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing. Is it Friday yet? Please tell me it's Friday. I encourage everybody that's listening on Radio X and Dare Talk Media in Australia to come join us over here in Yerg's Radio. Please come over and join us on the Sportcat Show. We got a great chat. They're always lively. We have Denise in there and Chris, two of my all-time favorites that are in there. Oh, well, and there's Wendell, too. Hello, Wendell. Glad to see you here. And let's see. Yes, it is opening night. It is opening night. Unfortunately, we're going to be watching Dallas. Good Lord. So, oh, well. It's what we got. We'll deal with it. So, I hope everybody's having a great day. I'm still trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing with some of these buttons. I spend so much time pushing buttons, I don't even know what the hell I'm doing. So, and through the miracle of radio, I am live on 2 places now. So, I'm also on the Thin Line Rock Station, rocking out some tunes right about now. And I don't know if any of y'all listened last night, but we had a guest from Zedhead. And holy cow, I encourage everybody to go find Mortal Man. And if you're a blues Southern rock person, listen to that song. It's amazing. So it is. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, Wendell. But hey, you got a podcast too, so you know how it goes. I just got more buttons than you, Wendell. All right, well, let's say good morning to everybody. It's currently 13:26, or that would be 1:26 on the East Coast. We want to say hello to our friends over in Chicago. Good afternoon, Chris. Denver, well, you're not in lunchtime yet. 11:20, 10:27 in Los Angeles. Anchorage, you're still waking up at 9 a.m. Honolulu, 7 a.m. But the real winners of the overnight show go to our friends in Perth. It's 1:27 a.m. in Perth, 2:12 in Usula. How the hell is it 2:12? It confuses me. And 2:57 in Darwin, 3:27 in Sydney. Lord Howe, good morning, 3:57 in Bermuda. You're 2:27 in the afternoon. So I have to look to this to figure out what I'm doing so I know where it's daylight and where it's dark. Hey, KG, welcome. Long time no see. We've missed you. So Wendell's been upset you haven't been here. So, all right. What are we going to do? Let's just jump into some new stuff here. Well, no, let's jump into this. Why does it feel like my screen's so far away? Maybe I just need new glasses. All right. So I probably do need new glasses. Let's see here. So today in history, we always start out by doing today in history. And today, September 4th, today in history, way back to the end of the Western Roman Empire in 476, the Western Roman Emperor abdicates after forces led by Adacier, and they invade Rome. And Adacier invade Rome. All right, the traditional date for the end of the Western Roman Empire is today, whatever the hell that means. So I'll just Google it. 1609, navigator Henry Hudson is the first European to discover the island of Manhattan. Los Angeles, 1781. Founded by 44 Spanish-speaking Mestizos in the Baja de las Fumas, the Bay of Smokes. That would be a cool name for a town, the Bay of Smokes. 1862, General Lee begins the Maryland campaign, invading the North with 50,000 Confederate troops in the U.S. Civil War. 1957, the governor of Arkansas, Orville Fabus, he was fabulous. He calls out the National Guard to prevent 9 black students from entering Little Rock Central High School. Well, that's kind of shitty. 1936, RKO Radio Pictures releases Swing Time, directed by George Stevens, starring Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. 1965, the Beatles' song Help goes to number 1 and stays there for 3 weeks. 1974, 100-meter medley relay team Mike Strom, Tom Bruce, Mark Spitz, Jenny Heydrich set a world records for 3 minutes 48. Was that 3 hours? They set a record. The first athlete to win 7 Olympic gold medals in a single season. I'm assuming that's 3 minutes 48 seconds. Yeah, it's confusing. And they don't know. It's just confusing. I don't understand how they do that. Yeah, I guess it's kind of like Arizona. They kind of follow their own time over there. So, but hey, they're lords. They're allowed to do that. So I guess, I don't know. All right. 1925, Athelstan is crowned the King of England, the son of Edward the Elder. Is crowned king. He is considered to be the first king of all of England. 1886, the Apache leader Geronimo surrenders. Geronimo pictured there in 1887. Now, is that really him or is that AI? Because there's a lot of stuff going on about AI this week. Spent decades resisting the encroachment of settlers before surrendering to federal troops. General Nelson Miles of the U.S. Army, alongside Arizona, New Mexico border, and Apache leader Geronimo had resisted the encroachment of white settlers on Apache land for 30 years. By 1886, however, his forces were exhausted, and he and other Apache relocated to the Comanche and Kiowa Reservation in Oklahoma. I'm assuming that's a painting. It couldn't be a picture. Or it's a picture of a painting. Or, I don't know. 1957, Little Rock 9 enter an integrated school. Can you imagine doing that? That we think kids today have a hard time going into school. Can you imagine how those 9 students felt? And look at the anger in this woman. For what reason? Why? 9 black students attempted to enter the formerly all-white Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas, after the Supreme Court's Brown v. Board of Education ruling, which had legally desegregated schools, dubbing the Little Rock 9. The students were blocked entry to the school by the Arkansas National Guard, who had been called in by the governor, Orville Fabus. Photos of the black students pictured here. Elizabeth Eckford, surrounded by hateful crowds, helped to galvanize the civil rights movement, led President Eisenhower to order National Guards to allow desegregation 2 weeks later. See, the president at that time went in and did things too, so it's a thing. So Wendell says, it's a good thing that no other country tried to take over the U.S. after the Civil War because we didn't have enough people to defend us. Well, that's not 100% accurate. We had France was coming to help the Confederate, and was it Ireland? There was more troops coming, but yeah, we called it quits. 1957. Yeah, this little thing happened called Gettysburg. 1957, Dorothy Counts integrates Harry Harding High School. 1957. That was almost my lifetime. That was my parents' lifetime. I just can't imagine. 1998, Google is founded. Computer scientists Larry Page and Sergey Brin found Google while enrolled as PhD students at Stanford University. Google, the world's most popular search engine, would later expand into a massive variety of tech products. In 2015, a restructuring of Google would lead to the creation of Alphabet Inc., the parent company of Google and its subsidiaries. Apple Inc. is considered one of the big 5 tech companies alongside Amazon, Apple, Meta, and Microsoft. And they just had a big case in court where they pretty much lost. 2005, Lloyd Avery II is murdered by his cellmate. Lloyd Avery II, an actor in the 1991 film Boys in the Hoods, is murdered by his cellmate Kevin Roby. Roby was a proclaimed Satanist who strangled Avery to death after the two argued about religion. Shouldn't they have been separated? 2006, Steve Irwin died at the age of 44, the Great Barrier Reef. He died in the Great Barrier Reef after a stingray stabbed him in the chest. They said it was the perfect place for it to hit. An Australian zookeeper who rose to fame through the TV show Crocodile Hunter. He built his reputation on a willingness to engage with dangerous animals, but while participating in the documentary Ocean's Deadliest, he crossed paths with the stingray, who may have stabbed him, mistaking him for a tiger shark. And Denise says she was around then. Denise, you're young. You're young. Wow, Wendell, that's mean. KG says, many news cartoons of the past 2 weeks have been great, showing kids going back to school, but trying to withdraw from their phones with all the new laws. Yeah, well, we didn't have that either. I don't know. Kids got so much to deal with today. 2016, Mother Teresa is canonized. Mother Teresa is canonized by Pope Francis. Mother Teresa was a Catholic missionary who worked with hospitals primarily in India. She gained an international reputation as a selfless humanitarian dedicated to spreading her faith. In recent times, disturbing facts about Mother Teresa's Catholic organization have come to light, sparking debate about who Mother Teresa really was. That's an interesting deep dive. So if you're into that type of thing, you should go check it out. We're going to see a lot of changes with that stuff. Lots and lots. We're entering a brave new world. So what is today? Well, today is the 4th. It's National Wildlife Day. It's the birthday of the Prophet Muhammad. It's an eat an extra dessert day. I'm in. I'm in. What's your favorite dessert? Wendell, what's your favorite dessert? Egypt, it's Al-Muld Al-Nabwe Day. National Macadamian Nut Day. I'm not a fan of macadamia nuts. Unhinged. No. Where the hell did I get that out of that? Yuma Halanga Reed Dance Day. Make sure you do your Yuma Halanga Reed dance. And please don't at me. I don't have a clue what the hell it means. So, yeah, I'm just going to move on before getting more trouble. It's National Spice Blend Day. Ooh, Denise says strawberry shortcake or chocolate cream pie. Ooh, like the type of eclair, Denise? Is that what you're talking about? The cream in the middle of the it's called an eclair, right? Chris says the old me ate desserts unrestrained and happily. Yeah, I'm still the old Jew then, Chris. Until I get back to Atlanta, then I'll be on a strict keto diet and won't be allowed anything but water. And they'll limit my Mountain Dews. I'll be like in a nursing home. National Spice Blend Day. No chocolate. It's chocolate pie with whipped cream. Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about what is this stuff called in the middle of that? It's an eclair, right? It's an eclair. Yeah. What's this stuff called? It's National Spice Blend Day. I'm all for that. I have recently found habanero salt. It's amazing. It will change your life. Nappadamian, but we talked about that one that I can't say. National Newspaper Carrier Day is today. They still have paper boys? And it's National Wildlife Day. Let's see whose birthday it is. Let's see whose name I can F up today. So, Stephen Whitney. He's considered the second richest man in America at the time, 1776 to 1860. Cullen Whipple, the inventor of the pointed screw machine that made threaded screws. Whipple. Wasn't there a cartoon? Not an actor? Chocolate eclairs, yeah. Chris says he doesn't want to be a diabetic again. I can feel you on that one. It's not, yeah, those needles, yeah. Whipple. Was that Old Man Whipple? I'm trying to think. There was something about, I need to Google that. Inventor of the pointed screw machine that made threaded screws. Sarah Childress Polk, the 11th First Lady of the United States. She was married to President James Polk. Julian Hill, the chemist who developed nylon. Daniel Burnham, an architect with the World's Columbian Exposition Chicago Fair. He designed it. Louis Latimer more Mountain Dew, inventor who improved the toilet system for railroad cars. Interesting. Paul Harvey. We all love Paul Harvey. All of us that have ever done anything in radio have studied Paul Harvey. Finally remembered for his The Rest of the Story. I've got a great one. Let's see if I got load on my sound file. Since it's birthday, I can do that. Maybe, if I can find it. No, I don't have it loaded up. I wish I did. I got a sound file that he is talking about police officers and firefighters. It's probably loaded up on my home computer, and it is great. Just hearing his voice, he was great. Let's see. That's right. Don't squeeze the Charmin. I couldn't. Thank you, Wendell. I need an old person to remind me. Chris says he sees giraffes more than paper boys nowadays. He was the Charmin guy. We had Chris to help us, we had Wendell help us remember that. We had the old guy in the audience. He did it. Either that or he Googled it. Thank you, Wendell. That was going to stick in my head. Merrill Bubba Knight. He's still living. He's a member of the Gladys Knight in the Pips. I didn't know there was a Pip named Bubba. Dave Buchwald, a hacker and phone freak. Beyonce, well, we know who she is. She's a country singer. Oh, no, she's contemporary. Memorable days today. 1864, the bread riots occur in Mobile, Alabama to protest rising food costs. Now, that's one not many people remember. Thomas Edison's light bulb is used to light Pearl Street in New York in its first large-scale test. One of his first light bulbs is still burning in D.C., I think. The first self-service restaurant buffet opens in New York City. I want to open a self-serve Mexican restaurant. Just it's all tacos and burritos, just with all the different pasta. And you just go, seems to me it would be profitable. Geronimo surrendered. We talked about that. After 30 years of fighting, George Eastman receives a patent for his camera that uses roll film after registering the trademark Kodak. Oh, times have changed. 1957, the governor of Arkansas called out the National Guard. We talked about that. And 1972, The Price is Right premieres on CBS for the first time. And where's my sound file for that? Come on down. I used to have that one. I don't know where the hell it went. I need to load all those old sound files on this machine because I'm spending a lot of time here. Yeah, the guy that did The Price is Right. He did a come on down. It's time for the Sportcat shows.
You're tuned to the Sportcat show.
That ain't it. Is that it now?
You are now tuned in to your number one radio station.
Yeah, that's not it. Oh, well.
No, you got the wrong number. This is 912.
Yep. So, Horn in Hardat, self-service. Is that a restaurant up by you, Denise? And let's see. I think for Diane on the prices, mine was I can see her now. She was on the Prices Right too, wasn't she? Where she was the woman who would stand there with the letters, and she would go turn them. Yeah, I had a thing for her. So, and then she did Playboy spread, but that was before the internet. We had to fight like crazy people to get it. Not that we did, of course, because that would be wrong. So. All right, let's do an almanac here just to keep things going. It's the 247th day of 2025. Where is it going? The 77th day. Vanna White. Yes, I had a thing for Vanna. 274th day of 2025, the 77th day of summer. In 1781, 44 Spanish settlers found El Pueblo de Nuestra Señora la Reina de los Angeles de Porteseniola. We now call it LA, Los Angeles. Don't ask me to repeat that, Chris. In 1882, Thomas Edison famously flipped the switch for the light bulb, lighting up downtown Manhattan, the first commercial electrical distribution plant. Kodak, well, the roll camera film. Very little of that anymore. 1917, the United States suffered its first World War II military fatalities in France. Today's birthday, Richard Wright, he was an author. Paul Harvey, we talked about. Dick York, an actor. Dick York, was he Was he Robin? Tom Watson, a professional golfer. Drew Pinsky, a radio TV host. Damon Wayans, oh yeah, I love that guy. Actor, comedian. Mike Piazza, baseball player. Mark Ronson, he's a musician, songwriter, producer. Wes Bentley, an actor. Of course, we talked about Beyonce. Whitney Cummings, an actress. And Kyle Mooney, an actor and comedian. Today's fact: graduate students at Sergey Brin and Larry Page. Okay, we're going to try this again. Graduate students Sergey Brin and Larry Page filed paperwork to incorporate Google, their two-year-old research project, on this day in 1998. 1972, American swimmer Mark Spitz becomes the first athlete to win 7 gold medals at a single Olympics game. And today's quote: they hate because they fear, and they fear because they feel what the deepest feelings of their lives are being assaulted and outraged, and they do not know why. They are powerless pawns in a blind play of social forces. Richard Wright, native son. That's so true. Today's number, 3.8 million. It's the estimated population of the city of Los Angeles for 2025. Today's moon, well, it's between a first quarter moon and a full moon. I need to have a graphic that we pull up every day when we talked about that. That's right. He was Darren and Bewitched. That's right. I knew it was an old TV show that I watched growing up. So Irene Ryan. Who the hell is Irene Ryan? I don't even know who Irene Ryan is. Now you're going to make me want to Google that. So I don't know who Irene Ryan is. Let's see. I'm going to take this off because it's annoying me. There we go. All right, let's get back here. Yeah, I need to bring up a thing that shows the stage of the moon. We can see. Stage of the moon. The moon today. Yeah. Hey, it's like it's reading my mind. And today is well, just show it. I don't want to read it. Just show me. All right. So the full moon is on the 7th. The 14th is the third quarter. New moon is the 20th. Oh my God. Do they have another name for it? Blackheart moon or all death moon or something? And then the 29th is the first quarter. I need something that just brings up the picture. That's all I want. I like that. I could live with that. But that's it. Yeah, that's today. Yeah. We could start doing that. Okay. 3 p.m., mid-phase, and 3 a.m. So the moonrise starts at 3 p.m. Okay. We're going to bookmark this because, well, you know what? I might just use this again. No. Bookmark. How do I do this? You'd think, see, once again, I'm pushing buttons. So you would think I know what I'm doing. But I don't. It's a facade. All right. So let's start with something here. Let me get back. Where'd my chat go? There it is. I still don't know who I read. Grandma and Beverly Hillbillies. Oh my God, Wendell. How do you pull that tidbit of knowledge out? And that's mean. Chris is right. That is mean. But how do you remember Irene Ryan from the Grandma and you're telling me a lot about the inner workings of Wendell's brain. All right, so direct quote today: blow them up. Our Secretary of State says we're going to blow them up. Trump will direct more strikes against narco terrorists. Look for them tomorrow. Oh, and KG is even laughing at me. That's not nice, KG. The President of the United States is going to wage a war on narco-terrorist organization. President Donald Trump strikes against drug cartels are only getting started, according to the Secretary of State. He said on Wednesday that the Trump administration would no longer rely on stopping drug runners when they arrive on U.S. soil. Instead, they will take out cartel members before they reach the country to spread their poison. There's also something else to be said here. Before they reach our soil, well, when they reach our soil, we have to go through the legal process of having them deported. It's easier to drop a bomb on them as they come in. Interdiction doesn't work because these drug cartels, what they do is they know they're going to lose 2% of their cargo. They bake it into their economics, Rubio said. What will stop them is when you blow them up and you get rid of them. Cut the head of the snake off. Rubio made the comments while speaking at a press conference in Mexico as he met with leaders to discuss strengthening cooperation on illegal immigration and countering transitional crime and terrorism in our region. The Secretary of State added that before the United States launched a strike on drug smugglers with Venezuelan criminal organization Tren de Aragua, U.S. intelligence determined that the drug boat was on its way to the United States. Instead of interdicting it on the president's order, we blew it up, and it will happen again. Man, we have missed this in the White House for so long. Walk tall, carry a big stick. Maybe it's happening right now. I don't know, Rubio said, but the point is the president of the United States is going to wage war on narco-terrorist organizations. This one was operating in international waters, heading towards the United States to flood our country with poison. And under President Trump, those days are now over. Trump announced on Tuesday that the U.S. military forces conduct a kinetic strike. I still haven't Googled that to see exactly what a kinetic strike was. It positively identified Tren de Aragua terrorists in the Southcom area of responsibility. Now, I did hear from some sources that there was a drone that did facial recognition and they knew who they were. The president also posted a video of the strike, which he said resulted in the deaths of 11 drug smugglers, while no U.S. service members were harmed. More importantly, no Americans. Please let this serve as a notice to anybody even thinking about bringing the drugs into the United States. And I can't show the video because, well, YouTube would spank me. Last month, Trump ordered U.S. forces to be deployed to the southern Caribbean near Venezuela to take on the drug cartel. The leader is dictator Nicolas Maduro. He's accused the United States of seeking a regime change with its latest military movements. Maduro added that Trump's decision marked the biggest threat that has ever been seen on our continent in the last 100 years. Well, no, I would say that's you, buddy. Maduro, a socialist who remained in power in an election that appeared to be rigged in his favor, has a $50 million bounty placed on him by the U.S. government, citing his ties to drug cartels. This is the first time I have been alive. We've always talked about the war on drugs. Well, we've never seen any concrete action. We kind of saw some concrete action there with a big boom. So, Denise, how can you stop a thinking you show? It's great and we have fun. You were right. You were absolutely right. It does give me a day. Isn't U.S. intelligence an oxymoron? Some days, yes. And then we have our president saying, besides we're going to blow shit up, now we're going to invade New Orleans. It's a blue city and a red state. Don't ask me which color is which, but apparently President Trump has suggested Wednesday that New Orleans could be next for his target of deploying National Guards to fight crime, potentially expanding the number of cities around the nation where he may send federal law enforcement. Trump has already said he plans to send the National Guard into Chicago and Baltimore, follow his administration deploying troops and federal agents to patrol the streets of Washington, D.C. So we're making a determination now, Trump told reporters in the Oval Office during a meeting with Polish President Karol Nawrocki. Do we go to Chicago? Do we go to a place like New Orleans, where we have a great governor? Jeff Landry, who wants us to come in and straighten out a very nice section of this country that's become quite tough, quite bad. Trump now frequently boasts about turning Washington into a safe zone. Well, he needed something else to say over and over. The White House reports that more than 1,760 arrests citywide since the president first announced he was mobilizing federal forces August 7th. But Washington is a federal district subject to laws giving Trump power to take over the local police for up to 30 days. The decision to use Trump troops to attempt to quell crime in other Democrat-controlled cities around the country would represent an important escalation. So we're going to be going maybe to the Louisiana, and you have New Orleans, which has a crime problem. We'll straighten that out in about 2 weeks, Trump said. It'll take us 2 weeks easier than D.C. Trump's latest comments came a day after he declared we're going in and suggesting that the National Guard might soon be headed to Chicago. the nation's third largest city, and Baltimore. That's despite state and local officials, as well as many residents, both places staunchly opposing the idea. But New Orleans is a predominantly Democratic-leaning city in a red state run by Landry, a Republican, and reflection of Trump floating federal interventions along ideologic lines. Crime is down in New Orleans, City Council member Oliver Thomas, who is also a mayoral candidate, said via a text message. This would seem to be very political or a major overreaction. Councilmember Jean Paul Morrell said, "It is ridiculous to consider National Guards into another American city that hasn't asked for it. Guardsmen are not trained for law enforcement. They can't solve crimes. They can't interview witnesses, and they aren't trained to constitutionally police," Morrell said in a statement. NOPD, New Orleans PD, is doing a great job with existing resources they have. Marching troops into New Orleans is an unnecessary show of force in an effort to create a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. Landry, though, posted on social media, "We will take President Donald Trump's help from New Orleans to Shreveport," while House Majority Leader Steve Scalise, whose district includes the conservative suburbs outside of New Orleans, praised Trump in Washington. The citizens of New Orleans and the millions of tourists who come here deserve that same level of security, Scalise wrote in a social media post. "We should all be in favor of increased safety for our citizens and lower crime." Louisiana Attorney General Liz Morrell said in a statement that people continue to die in New Orleans because leaders refuse to accept the resources that are available to them. If your gut reaction is to reject the president's offer for assistance without condition, perhaps you're the problem, not him, Morrell said. The city of New Orleans struck a more conciliatory note, saying in a statement, "Our federal and state partnerships have played a significant role in ensuring public safety, particularly during special events, and that local officials remain committed to sustaining the momentum." New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell was indicted last month on federal fraud charges and is set to be arraigned in the coming weeks. Trump, meanwhile, has reportedly rallied against Democrat Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker for not requesting the National Guard to be deployed. "We could straighten out Chicago. All they have to do is ask us to go in, Chicago, if we don't have the support of some of those politicians, but I'll tell you who is supporting us, the people of Chicago." Pritzker and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson have been adamant in saying Chicago doesn't need or want military intervention. In Baltimore, Mayor Brandon Scott and it's interesting, two Brandons, Maryland Governor Wes Moore have remained similarly opposed. In Washington, Mayor Muriel Bowser has said Trump's decision to take over his city's police force and flood the streets with hundreds of federal law enforcement agents, National Guard troops, has succeeded in reducing violent crime, but she's argued that similar results could have been achieved simply by having more police officers in service. It's funny how that works. She said Wednesday that Trump's law enforcement powers in the city don't need to be extended beyond 30 days. We don't need a presidential emergency. And let's see here. Wendell says, if he stops this show, who will we pick on? Some days, Wendell, I do think about quitting doing this show. But it is a lot of fun. And even if I get pushed down the algorithm in YouTube, and did you guys ever find the hyper media button down there or something? There's another new button for chat where you can push and it supposedly boosts me. It lets YouTube know that people are actually watching, that you're not bots. And we know Wendell's not a bot. Florida aims to ban vaccine mandates for school children. Florida is aiming to become the first U.S. state to cancel all of its vaccine mandates, many of which would require children to get jabs against diseases like polio in order to attend public schools. The state's top health official, Florida Surgeon General Joseph Ladapo, likened the mandates to slavery in announcing the plans. "Who am I to tell you that what your child should put in your body?" he said. "I don't have that right. Your body is a gift from God." That's an interesting argument. Florida officials did not give a timeline or details on ending the mandates. Several may only be repealed through a vote by a Republican-led state legislature, while others can be scrapped by the state health department. Latapalo, though, pledged several times during Wednesday's news conference to end all of them, every last one of them. The Surgeon General has been frequently criticized by doctors and health groups who say he has spread misinformation. Democratic state lawmaker Anna Escamini decried the plan to end all mandates as ridiculous and dangerous. This is a public health disaster in the making in the Sunshine State, she posted on X. While every state requires children to be vaccinated in order to attend public schools, each one has different policies about giving exemptions to mandates. Idaho, another Republican-dominated state, loosened many of its rules on vaccines earlier this year, but still requires children to be immunized. In Florida, students are currently required to be vaccinated against multiple illnesses, including chickenpox, hepatitis B, measles, mumps, and polio. The Florida Education Association, a group representing more than 120,000 school teachers and administrators, also condemned the move, saying health officials are discussing disrupting student learning and making schools less safe. State leaders say they care about reducing chronic absenteeism and keeping kids in school, but reducing vaccine does the opposite, putting our children's health and education at risk, the statement said. According to the WHO, World Health Organization, vaccines have saved at least 154 million lives, mostly infants, within the past 50 years. The U.S. Centers for Disease and Control and Prevention says about 4 million deaths are prevented worldwide each year by childhood vaccinations. Dr. Deborah Howery, who resigned in protest last week from her post at the CDC's chief medical office, told the BBC that the move in Florida could lead to an outbreak of several preventable diseases among students. Now look for her to start writing a book. She will become the next one that makes millions on writing books. She noted that about 207 children in the U.S. have died from influenza this past flu season, and about 90% of those children were unvaccinated. Okay, my argument is let's see the stats on their ethnicity and their country of origin, because we didn't require vaccines on the illegal immigrants. Let that sink in. They could come to our schools without vaccines. So I'd like to see that stat. Let's break down and do some real numbers here, Doc. Dr. Nahid, yeah, I just went way down the algorithm. Dr. Nahid Bandalea, director of the Boston University Center on Emerging Infectious Diseases, added, it's particularly unfortunate for Florida because it's such a big travel hub. They have people coming and going from Florida all over the world. She also advised the White House during the COVID epidemic, also told BBC that the decision may lead to fewer insurance providers covering the cost of immunizations, leading to increased danger for at-risk adults, such as pregnant women. On Wednesday, a group of Democrat-led states announced they had created an alliance to coordinate on health matters, immunizations, in opposition to the Trump administration's overall and changes to public health programs and guidance. The governors of Washington, Oregon, and California said they would use the guidance from the national medical organizations, many of which have rejected Trump's administration changes to childhood vaccinations, and lean less on advice from the federal government. In a joint press release, they said Trump was dismantling the CDC and blasted a recent decision by U.S. Health Secretary, RFK, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a vaccine skeptic, to remove experts from the CDC Vaccine Advisory Panel. So that's an interesting argument where he was talking about, who am I to tell you what your child should put in your body? I don't have that right. Your body is a gift from God. It's an interesting argument because you could use that in other instances where things are forced down our throat too. Throwing it out there. Chris said he just felt his stomach drop with that huge lowering in the YouTube algorithm. The same people who push to defund the police to fight crime now want us to follow their crime-fighting expertise again. No thanks. Agreed. So that's an interesting argument, because I remember during the COVID period where we were forced to take it if you had certain jobs. It didn't matter if it was your body. The government was telling you what to do. So that's an interesting argument. I don't know how I feel about this one. I'm going to wait it out for a little bit. Fires in the TCU lighting complex and Gold's Country evacuations. Well, wildfires have sparked lightning fires all over California, but in Gold Country, a lightning sparked fires across the Sierra Nevada foothills. Evacuation has been avoided for several communities, and it is burning pretty much free burning right now. They've ordered multiple evacuation orders, and the two fires were among two in the TCU September lighting complex, and 6 of them were 290 acres or larger. CAL FIRE put the complex area at 13,766 acres. Map shows that 2 to 7 fires as large fire icons and the 5 largest in the other fires as dots. The evacuations are shown in red. So please go, if you live in California, please go and follow the evacuation guidelines, because Gold Country is burning and they are trying really hard to get the fires out. But we've talked about this in our other segments. The lightning and the high wind is hampering them, and there's also some very remote areas in there. So if only Bigfoot was a firefighter, that would make it so much better. But yeah, so they're burning heavily in the California Gold area, and please follow instructions to evacuate safely. So, all right. Wendell. What am I going to do with you, Wendell? This comes to us from WTOP, and I'm not sure if I covered this here or if I covered it on my radio show, but the DC mayor actually published her exit strategy for the federal government that included keeping the assistance from the Fed. DC mayor says order does not extend the presidential emergency. The troops have actually received orders to stay almost until December. DC Mayor Muriel Bowser said she wants to clarify the fact that her order outlining the district will work with federal law enforcement after September 10th does not extend President Trump's crime emergency. It does the exact opposite. It lays out a framework to exit this period, she said. Her reassurances come a day after she issued the order spelling out how the district will address crime, homelessness, beautification, and other challenges facing the city with federal law enforcement. It is a framework that we'll use inside the government to deal during the emergency and after the emergency, she said. What the order does not do is seek to extend federal law enforcement and surge in the city, she said. Only Congress can extend the presidential emergency declaration. And she added people should not read too much into the fact that her order does not have an end date. Some of my mayor's orders have end dates, and others are rescinded by follow-up orders, and that's how this will be dealt with, she said. She also pushed back on the idea that orders welcome a continued federal law enforcement surge in the city. But council member Brianna Nadal said Bowser's order signals her plan to collaborate indefinitely with federal law enforcement to capitulate in advance. The statement argued that Bowser's words and actions indicate the mayor has welcomed the federal police patrolling the streets. In an interview with WTOP's Nick Iannelli, she said she will continue fighting to get this military occupation off DC streets. We always have a choice in the face of tyranny and overreach, and in this case, a military occupation of our own city, she said. There are ways that we can continue to support our residents while fighting back against President Trump. This is not it. See right there, that's the problem. They want to fight back against President Trump. They don't want to fight against getting their citizens help. It's all about fighting back against, she just said it right there, fighting back against President Trump. If this was President Biden that had sent it in, would they be out there with, water bottles and fans to give to them to help them. This is she speaks her political divisiveness in her statement. It's about fighting back with President Trump. It's not about the safety of her citizens. The order calls for federal law enforcement to not wear masks, clearly identify themselves, and provide IDs during arrests. And when it comes to immigration enforcement, Bowser said DC police are required to assist federal officials under an emergency. But she raised concerns about how U.S. immigrations and customs enforcements are operating. Our deployment and our resources have to be used on violent criminals, and I can't say that the ICE activity is getting violent criminals for the most part, she stated. So, yeah, it's all about fighting back against one man. It's not about helping your citizens, helping your fellow countrymen. It's all about fighting back against one man. So my algorithm's going to hell today. So. Wendell says, hey, Glenn, the Alabama white thing wants to marry the Sportcat. Well, Wendell, I'm sure you can create an AI version of that. So I told you I would be the one to find Bigfoot, and he wouldn't be like me. I can't say my algorithm's already dropped enough, Wendell. Damn it, stop. The FBI is concerned about Donald Trump's Washington, D.C. crackdown, according to a report. Man, were we running over time? No, we just started late. Okay. The federal crackdown on crime in Washington, D.C. may have exposed the Federal Bureau of Investigation's unmarked vehicles around the city, making it potentially more difficult for the agencies to carry out sensitive national security work, according to Reuters. Newsweek has reached out to the FBI and the White House by email on Thursday, seeking comment. The crackdown has required FBI officials who normally keep low profiles in the course of their work to participate in arrests while wearing tactical gear and use their regular unmarked vehicles, exposing both their identities and their assets to various criminal elements. Every time you see us getting out of our covert cars wearing our FBI vests, that car is burned, one current employee explained, speaking on condition of anonymity. Didn't want anybody to know. Current and former employees of the Bureau told the outlet that they are compromising their assets to benefit the surge in arresting for minor offenses and at the cost of making it more difficult for the agency to track larger threats, such as violent criminal gangs, foreign intelligence service, and drug traffickers. The employees have spoken out due to President Trump's plan to expand the crackdown to other major cities, which would further burn them through critical agency assets. However, the FBI told Reuters that the claims represent a basic misunderstanding on how FBI security protocols work, chiefly that the agency takes multiple safeguards to protect agents in the field against threats so they can continue doing their great work protecting the American people. FBI leadership hasn't received any of the concerns alleged here, and anyone who did have a good faith concern would approach leaders at headquarters or Washington field offices rather than laundering these bizarre claims through the press. That's a legitimate thing. Ben Williamson, assistant director of the FBI Public Affairs Office, said in an emailed response. Well, why don't we just go to Ford and Chevy and get some of the old Crown Vics back in style and some of the, what was the Chevy? The Impala? Was it the Impala? Wendell, you're the old person history buff. It was the Chevy car that was, just get a bunch of them and then put them in that. And then they can just go pick them up and then drive them. So, Wendell says, I'm going to the vet to see if y'all are compatible. Okay. All right. Well, good. Don't forget to get your injections. They're mandated, Wendell. So it's more important to protect the identity of the vehicle than the officer himself. Agreed. Yeah. Why don't we just go get a bunch of Crown Vics and Chevrolet Impalas? We've known for years. Us old people have known for years that's a cop car. So just go get a bunch of those. Get a fleet of those for around the country and do that. What's the big deal? You know, then they can all show up at their place. But they're still, even if they're not if they're using their POVs, personal vehicles. First off, why do we have that many personal vehicles issued that we're paying for? Second off, if you want to use that argument, could the bad guys just not go, oh boy, I'm going to get hit for this one, but could the bad guys just not go to a set location and do intelligence? In other words, could they not go? Let's say we were watching Wendell's house and he was known to be the head of a organization, and we see all the people coming into work in their private cars, and then when they leave in the other car, could we not just, is it not the same thing? So Wendell says the cars are easier to recognize. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that argument could go, this is the thing, you could argue things both ways. Donald Trump's full Rose Garden dinner list, and Elon Musk is snubbed. Wonder if you guys feelings hurt. So I wasn't invited. Were you invited? Let's see who's going to be on this is the Rose Garden dinner. Let's see who's going to be on the list. I want to know what the menu is. So let's see. It's the party in the brand new Rose Garden after several years of renovation that began in his first term. For the first time that the stone patio will be the main focus instead of the lawn. It should be noted that the Rose Garden is usually host to events, bills, signings, and speeches. A full list of people seated to attend the gathering is listed below. All right, so we have Mark Zuckerberg, Meta founder, Apple CEO Tim Cook, Microsoft founder Bill Gates, OpenAI founder Sam Altman, Sergey Brin, founder of Google, Sundar Pichai, CEO of Google, Safar Katz, CEO of Oracle, David Limp, CEO of Blue Origin, Sanjay Mahatra, CEO of Micron Technology, Greg Brockman, the president of OpenAI, Sataf Nahilda, CEO of Microsoft, Vivek Randive, founder of Tipico and owners of the Sacramento Kings, Shamar Sakar, Chief Technology Officer at Palantir. Keep your eyes open on that name. We're going to start seeing that hop up a lot in government headlines. Alexander Wang, founder of Scale AI and head of super intelligence at Meta. David Sachs, a venture capitalist who's been tasked as the White House czar on artificial intelligence and cryptocurrency. Jared Isaacman, CEO of Shift4. I have no idea who that is. Jason Chang, founder of CS Bio. Natalie Dampe, CEO of Dampe Pharma. Yeah, Pharma. Dylan Fields, founder of Figma. Don't know what Figma is. John Herring, co-founder of VY Capital. Sonny Madera, what's that football player? President of Grok. Shamath Fapis, founder of Social Capital. Marcus Pincus, founder of Zynga. Jamie Siminoff, founder of Ring. Oh, that's an interesting one. That's a very interesting one. Lisa Su, CEO of Micro Devices. And it was reported Elon Musk was notably left off the list of invitees. So Carolyn Levitt reportedly teased the event last month, saying the garden was ready for an event and even gave the press pool a glimpse of the president testing out new speakers for what will be the best event in the history of the White House. She had the next party is, quote, hopefully soon. Musk being left off the invite list underscores the possibility, still tumultuous relationship they have between him and the former Doge head. The pair become embroiled in a feud regarding the president's big, beautiful bill. So, Wendell, you don't have to go, Wendell. Stay, Wendell. I don't know who half those companies are, but I do notice that most of them are big tech. So that should tell you the way our government's going. They're going to rely a lot on tech. And also, I wanted to bring up something. Another YouTuber brought it to my attention that AI, and the president even slipped it in nonchalantly in the White House when he was talking about the items being thrown out of the White House window. He said that's the problem with AI. He said that was AI. Later, they backed up and retracted that, and the press office said that it was a contractor throwing out garbage while the president was away. I say garbage, it was probably construction debris. So which was it? And then his statement just slipped in there kind of nonchalantly. He said, that's the problem with AI. We don't know what's real and what's not real. And if it's bad, we can blame it on AI. So this other YouTuber came up with the argument, you could say anything is AI, but are they trying to condition us to seeing things, and then us YouTubers, because we're getting cracked down on very hard right now, especially with AI, are they trying to precondition us if we see something, we record it and we post it on social media as a public just going, oh, that's AI. So are they trying to precondition us like they did with Hollywood during so many of the movies and so many of the things that would precondition us to ideas that would later transpire? Lord help us if the Marvel MCU universe is a thing. But is that something they're trying to do? So I'm going to really start leaning into learning more about AI, because I think it's important with the reporting of any information, because I try really hard not to say anything about anything that could even be questionable AI. But how do you know if somebody tells you it's AI? It just doesn't, there's a lot of questions there. All right, so we'll roll on. Rosie O'Donnell, she's apologized for saying that Minneapolis shooter was a MAGA person. She's get her foot in her mouth a lot here lately. Comedian Rosie O'Donnell issued an apology for alleging the Minneapolis shooter was a MAGA person. I did not do my due diligence before I made that emotional statement, and I said things about the shooter that were incorrect, she said in a video posted on Sunday. I assume, like most shooters, they followed the standard MO and had standard, feelings of, NRA-loving kind of gun people, O'Donnell added. Anyways, the truth is I messed up, and when you mess up, you fess up. I'm sorry. This is my apology video, and I hope it's enough. 2 children died last week, we know, in the Minneapolis Catholic school. 18 others, mostly children, were wounded. 1 is still critical. So, what do we know? It was a white guy, Republican MAGA person. What do you know? White supremacist, O'Donnell said in a video posted to social media last Thursday. So it was an act of domestic terrorism, according to Kash Patel. Her statements were incorrect that it was a MAGA person. So the shooter, 23-year-old Robin Westman, they've referred to him as a transgender, has died by suicide, and he wanted to, quote, kill Trump, because it was inscribed on some of his methods of choice. So, well, it's good she apologized, but that's why it's so important, even if it's an emotional hot topic, to not talk about it till you have all of the facts. This broke last night. The heck with Rosie. I agree. But, it is important, no matter what side of the coin you're on, tell the truth when you're talking. And if you don't know, so I've went back and corrected myself. I don't like to, but you have to. So this is breaking news that came out last night. I found out about it from somebody else before this, but Trump is set to, he's going to come visit you, Denise, to attend a Yankees game on the 9/11 anniversary. President Trump will be heading to the Bronx, which is where he was born, to take in a Yankees game on the anniversary of 9/11 terror attacks, sources according with arrangements exclusively told the Post. Vice President J.D. Vance will represent the administration in a commemoration ceremony at Ground Zero in Lower Manhattan, with Trump scheduled to attend a memorial at the Pentagon in Northern Virginia. Later that day, Trump will travel to the city of his birth and attend the 7:05 matchup between the Yankees and the Tigers in a meeting of the 2 top teams in the AL. Sources cautioned that the plans were tentative and that Trump, I don't know why I have to mention his age here, could still change his mind. So we know that he's an avid golfer. He's popped up at several sporting events. He went to the Ryder's Cup. He's been to the Super Bowl. Let's see, what did he go to? He went to Daytona 500. That was pretty fun. He went to Daytona 500. Did he not go to a World Series game? He's been to UFC fights. And so the event is expected to draw 25,000 spectators to the executive. Well, hold on a minute. I'm backed up here. Oh, talking about the fight where they're going to bring 25,000 people to the White House. Trump attended the annual Ground Zero ceremony commemorating 9/11 last year with President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, just before he swept into office for his second term. The White House did not immediately comment on the report. So supposedly he is coming to New York City. So yeah. Chris says the only physical activity in her life is jumping to conclusions. Yeah. So we talked about this. I don't know how long ago we talked about this. Last week, maybe, about the 31 or 3i Atlas 11A12 or whatever it's called today. Scientists who said it could be a huge alien ship headed to Earth by November, quote, just thought it would be fun to pretend. NASA has quickly confirmed the object will stay far away from Earth and poses no damage or no threat or danger. Summer 2025 delivered plenty of strange headlines, but few spread faster online than the claim that Earth had only a few months before a giant alien ship arrived. The supposed culprit was 3i Atlas, an interstellar object spotted on July 1st Instagram post called it most likely an alien. TikTok videos treated it as a looming space invasion. On X, one post suggested hostile extraterrestrials had already fired up their engines and racked up more than 1 million views. Maybe I need to do this. The truth, however, was far less cinematic. NASA and the European Space Agency identified 3i Atlas as an interstellar comet, not a cosmic battle cruiser. And 3i stands for third interdimensional. In other words, it's the third one that has entered our dimension, which is a strange way of looking at it, but our known universe, I guess is the best way of saying it, means that it simply comes from outside your solar system, not outside the galaxy, as some viral posts have claimed. Intergalactic travel is a whole other scale, and this object wasn't it. So where did the alien ship rumors start? Well, the spark came from a paper titled, Is the Interstellar Object 3i Atlas Alien Technology by Harvard astrophysicist Evie Loeb. I've not pronounced it the same twice, I'm sure. And 2 British researchers. The title made it irresistible clickbait, but the authors themselves admitted they didn't think the object was artificial. They explained in the paper that they pursued the question because it was, quote, fun, a thought experiment more than anything. Their conclusion was clear that 3i Atlas was almost certainly a natural object like a comet. That didn't stop social media from spinning it as something more alarming. Facebook post with more than 12,000 reactions claimed a scientist was, quote, certain of alien origins. An Instagram account gathered 18,000 likes on a post warning of a November arrival. None of these posts reflected the actual scientific consensus. We're going to go back up here and look at that paragraph in a minute. Even the scenario of the comet-turned starship slingshotting into Earth by November wasn't based on actual tracking. It came from the paper's hypothetical discussion on what maneuvers an alien craft could make if it wanted to redirect towards our planet, solar or Jupiter gravity. Snopes confirmed. NASA addressed the speculation directly, stating the object would remain far away and has posed no threat. Well, this wasn't Loeb's first attempt to open the door on the possibility of alien technology in space. Back in 2017, when object nicknamed Oumuamua passed through, he argued it was worth checking for radio signals just in case. The fun wasn't asking the question. The panic, however, was entirely manufactured online. All right, so we have a scientist here. Let's just use this here for food for thought. We like to learn things. So he did a paper and he captioned it so it would get clickbait, but then he put the truth further down into the piece that was peer reviewed by other 2 British researchers. So what you should take out of this is that we have 3 scientists. You have to have more than one to co-author and peer review it and approve it for it to become science, so to speak. It's kind of a broad overstatement, but he fully admits that he started this because it was fun. So what's to stop other researchers for doing this? Let's say maybe Big Pharma or maybe vaccinations, or maybe, boy, my algorithm's taking a hit today. But we have 3 scientists admitting that it was just fun to pretend. So where does science start and where does fun begin? Chris, can I blame the Iranian guy in Florida for the bogus UFO story too, since Ross told me to blame him for COVID? You made me say the C word, Chris. It just dropped even more. I should be in negative numbers right about now. Please find that hyper button over there. I need to get in my chat and see where it is, but supposedly it's over there. So we're spending a lot of time rambling today. It's not even Friday. So this comes to us from Florida, Chris. A man in a puppy costume strangled youth. Employee was collared outside the Sunshine State Canine Emporium. A 46-year-old employee wearing inflatable dog costume outside a Florida puppy store allegedly strangled a bike-riding juvenile with whom he had an ongoing dispute. He's 46 years old and he's wearing an inflatable puppy suit. What? He works at Sunshine Puppies in Clearwater and was outside the business early Friday evening when multiple juveniles rode up on bicycle. At the time, a registered sex offender was wearing a puppy suit. Oh, what could possibly go wrong there? What could possibly go wrong? At the time, man, my algorithm's just going to drop. But this is a good one, YouTube. Please save me. He was a registered sex offender wearing a puppy costume. Where do you begin with these stories? They're train wrecks. It's adjacent to busy roadways, and the costume worker is a sign spinner and serves to attract to the attention of passing motorists. Investigators allege that Plathy, who had previously tangled with the young riders, waved the juveniles over to him. He then was joined by the puppy store sole proprietor. As the owner was addressing a group of juveniles sought to ride away, the owner grabbed the bike's handlebars to prevent a collision with himself. Plathy, seen at left in this picture, approached the victim from behind and placed him in a chokehold. Male victims, whose age is not listed in court records because he was probably a kid, was unable to breathe for a brief period of time until the defendant released him seconds later. Okay, brief period of time and seconds later is 2 different periods of time. He was arrested for battery by strangulation, a felony. The defendant, according to an arrest affidavit, showed an indication of alcohol influence and refused to speak with cops. So we have a drunk sex offender in a puppy costume on the street corner waving signs. After 2 days in the county clink, he was freed upon posting $10,000 bond. Judge has ordered him to have no contact with the victim. Can he still wear the puppy suit? That's my question. I should get press credentials and contact this. He has an extensive criminal record with multiple battery convictions, as well as convictions for burglary, drug conviction. He spent 6 years in prison for a 2013 sexual battery case that resulted in being designated a sexual offender. He returned to state custody in 2022, where he spent about 30 months behind bars before getting released last October. So you have a drunk, drug addict, sex offender in a puppy costume. What could possibly go wrong? I thought the Chuck E. Cheese story that we did a few weeks ago was bad, but this is even worse. Chris says this might be the most disturbing story you have ever found, and yet it is surpassed by the ridiculousness of its details. Agreed. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? Jesus Christ. Please remind me to follow this story. And we're still going to stay in the weird section here for a bit because, well, I'm just feeling silly. And we have a senator You see that there, that picture right there. Hold on. Let's see. Open image in new tab. Let's just make this full screen so you can see this picture. That's a U.S. senator. It's got, I think that's from Alien right there. He looks pretty serious when he's pointing at it. This guy here, this kid, is an intern. He's like, why am I even here? Oh, that's right. I'm getting an education. Radioactive shrimp, senator warns Americans they could look like an alien or grow an extra ear. I swear to God, I am not making this up. U.S. Senator John Kennedy has shown the U.S. Capitol an image of an alien from the Alien film franchise to warn Americans they could soon look like this if they don't act to tighten food guidelines. It's right there. If you don't want to eat shrimp and become that. Mr. President, this photograph of the alien from the movie Alien, Senator began, this is what you could end up looking like if you eat some of the raw frozen shrimp being sent to the United States by other countries. Explaining what he was talking about, Senator Kennedy brought up a recent large-scale recall where raw frozen shrimp from Indonesia sold at Walmart under the Great Value label, it was a great value, all right, were stripped from the shelves after a radioactive discovery. An enormous do not eat warning was issued after the positive test results for the radioisotope cesium-137. The shrimp was radioactive, Senator Kennedy said. It'll kill you, even if it doesn't turn you into an alien if you eat this stuff. I guarantee you, you will grow an extra ear. Senator Kennedy mentioned another case which occurred days later that he said involved 460 packages of shrimp cocktail and 18,000 bags of frozen cooked shrimp, all sold at Walmart, containing the same radioactive isotope. How could this happen in America, he asked. I'll tell you, the shrimp from other countries which don't abide by the same rules that we abide by in America, which if you eat it, may turn you into an alien, or at minimum will cause you to grow an extra ear, isn't being inspected. Senator Kennedy said the U.S. Department were only inspecting 1% of the seafood coming into the United States from the UK and China. He says the UK and China do better. Raw frozen shrimp products were processed at PT Barnum and Bailey. No, I'm sorry, PT Bahari Makrum Sajunti. I don't know what the hell that means. Let's just call it BMS Foods. Company located in Indonesia sold in this product in Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana, Missouri, Mississippi, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Texas, and West Virginia are all potentially at risk from multiple shipping containers that carried the meat. They returned positive for CS-137. In conjunction with the other information, FDA determined that the PT Barnum and Bailey violates the Federal Food and Drug Cosmetic Act and appears to have been prepared, packaged, or held under insanitary conditions whereby may have been contaminated with radioactivity, and it could cause a safety concern. The FDA specified the detection of radiation was actually in a shipment that did not enter the U.S. commerce. It said long-term exposure, like eating the product over time, could create an elevated risk of cancer resulting from damage to DNA within living cells of the body. However, it did not say it would turn Americans into alien-like creatures. I would actually like to see that report if the government come out and said that. If you recently purchased one of the impacted great value raw frozen shrimp from Walmart, throw it away. Do not eat or serve this product. The FDA said the initial testing had not been confirmed if any other products other than the products from Walmart into American stores had tested positive. So there's two things to this story. One, we have a U.S. senator doing this. This is also the same U.S. senator that when he was protesting books in schools at some point in time, he sat and read an explicit sexual book into the records of Congress. I had a sound clip of it at the time, and I got added by several people defending him. I'm like, but it's funny. This is what he's saying. So you have a U.S. senator saying that. So that's the first thing that I find really, this guy's dead serious about you're going to grow an ear. But in the initial reports, if you recall, no, this is an actual thing. This happened. We paid for it. They returned this week. Yeah. I don't know. I just don't know. I'm trying really hard. So, but we still are missing the whole point. If we remember the initial reports, it wasn't that they had it within them. They were exposed because it was in a shipping container aside the shrimp. So in other words, a shipping container came in with the CS-137. Where is it? It's not just in the shrimp. It was transferred radioactively into the shrimp, who were in the process, I guess, growing new ears. Do shrimp have ears? So, yeah, we still haven't addressed that. Where is that? So, but yeah, there you go. Louisiana, be proud. You made Florida look good for 20 minutes. So, yeah, yeah, agreed. He's like, there's going to be some YouTuber talk about this. Maybe it'll help his algorithm. I don't know. I just don't. Were they gone too long? Was that part of the problem? Did they leave the hills of DC for too long before they came back? What happened? This one I just had to bring to us because I had not seen this. This comes to us from Daily Express US. They're pretty good usually. Joe Biden's health compared to Donald Trump's as a U.S. president faces amputation fears. What? When did that happen? Did he eat the shrimp? Maybe he needs to eat the shrimp. After Trump was photographed for the first time in days following a brief disappearance, a recent photo of former president Joe Biden is making rounds on the internet as people draw comparisons between him and President Trump while both confront ongoing health concerns. In recent years, the 79-year-old president has been seen in public with swollen ankles, a severely bruised hand, and other indicators that have sparked worries about his cognitive health. After Trump resurfaced on the golf course following his brief absence, many were swift to note that he did not appear particularly healthy, with one user on X making the comparison between him and Biden. It comes as a doctor issued a chilling amputation warning to Trump that his leg may be cut off. When did we get this headline? We're gonna go there in a minute. When did we got that? There's President Biden, former President Biden, posing with one of his grandchildren, I assume. No, it's his daughter. Okay. So Trump was recently diagnosed with a chronic vein insufficiency, CVI. It infects the veins, most commonly the legs, resulting in compromised blood flow back to the heart. It is generally not regarded as a life-threatening. It can substantially impact comfort and daily function. Biden announced his cancer diagnosis back in May with a heartbreaking statement, "Cancer touches us all." He added, "Like so many of you, Jill and I have learned that we are strongest in broken places. Thank you for lifting us up with love and support." Despite his health issues, Biden is currently working on a book that will focus on his time as president. Well, it's going to be written by AI pen. But so when did we get this headline? This goes back to August 30th. I don't remember seeing this. He says, "Be careful, the shrimp will hear you." I'm kind of landlocked here in East Tennessee. Go to Georgia, they can sneak up the coast there. But when did we get here? I don't remember seeing this. So when did we get here? So apparently we're having to worry about it. So I just don't understand. I just don't understand. So he's been wearing compression socks, but he's apparently having to face the fear of amputation. Isn't this just part of old age? I don't know. So at any rate, we're going to end on a sports story because, well, I kind of like sports stories. I had a couple actually, but two about wrestling. One of them involved a country and western. Was she country and western? She's a singer, songwriter, musician, Taylor Swift. She apparently had performed a 3-hour concert in private for a wrestler and his family, in coordination apparently with another country and music star, that was going through severe cancer diagnosis that I don't think ended well for them, but that was very nice of her. So AJ Lee, well, she's coming back to the ring, according to speculation. So anybody that follows wrestling knows that AJ Lee was a wild card. She liked comic books and liked to beat people's asses, and she was a badass. But apparently she decided to get married, and she married another wrestler. They both retired, went to private life so they could have children. She had complications apparently with some lower back issues in child pregnancy, but apparently they're bringing her back. Multiple chance for CM Punk, that's her husband, is going to bring her back. And so supposedly we're going to see her soon. So yes, CM Punk. Yes. So I have contacted her agent and tried multiple times to get her to come on my show. I'm going to continue to try again. So, all right, let's do what we do best here, which we have 40 minutes left to just talk about this. So we'll go through it real quick because, well, as we know, the FEMA daily operations briefing was presented at 8:30 a.m. this morning to the commander-in-chief. Things are monitoring excessive rainfall, flash flooding in the Southwest. Of course, we still have disturbance number 1 down in the Atlantic, and we have a Cat 1 and a Cat 4 in the Pacific. So Hurricane Lorena, she's the Cat 1. She's currently 110 miles west-southwest of Cabo. She's got sustained winds of 75 miles an hour that extend outward for 15 miles. She's expected to quickly weaken for the next couple of days and is forecast to be a tropical storm even later today. She's going to degenerate into a remnant low near the Baja California Peninsula by early Saturday. The hazards are heavy bands of rain that will affect the Baja in Southern California. Hurricane Kiko, well, Kiko is on a bad course. She's a Cat 4. She's located 1,520 miles east-southeast of Hilo, Hawaii, and she is moving now west at 8 miles an hour. Sustained winds at 145 miles an hour, with winds extending 25 miles out from the center and in 80 miles out tropical force winds. They're predicting little change in strength forecast for the next day or so. Gradual weakening by the weekend, though. So let's see what happens. But she is on a bad course for Hawaii at the moment. So keep your eyes on that. And down here in the Atlantic, we'll get a better view of that one here in a few minutes. National weather forecast. Well, they're expecting in Southern California and down in Arizona, right at the border with Mexico, some heavy torrential rainfall, and then heavy rains expected through the Sierra Nevada, up into the Rockies, down into the center of the country, and then from the Appalachia down to the Gulf of America, spotty showers going even back up as far as Maine. That's going to continue for today and tomorrow. The pressures are in place and pretty much sitting still. They're not going to move until over the weekend. Chicago shows are huge for CM Punk. He lives up there, right? Don't they live in Chicago? Excessive rainfall. Well, I looked earlier when I was about to start the show, and the most excessive rainfall is in the lower part of Florida and the Keys. They're getting hammered at the moment. And of course, the Appalachia on the east side is going to get some heavy rains today. It's going to ease up over the weekend, though, and be much drier. Up in the Pacific Northwest, well, and Southern California, we still have that concern of fire weather. Talking about the fire yesterday from Windy Rock in Montana. It's still burning uncontained. And then now we talked about this one in California in gold mining country. It's 15% contained. They're really having struggle with it because of the high winds. To date, it has burned 13,766 acres. So they're really working hard on that one, but the winds are hampering them. Yes, he's from Chicago. Now, AJ is, I read her book. She is from New York, I believe, or Jersey. But yeah, 17 joint field offices, 58 major We're still working to repopulate and rehouse 12 different missions. We don't want to forget those. And there's 7 joint supported efforts and 6 recovery offices. When they say joint, it's either a private or government entity helping another state or city or county out. So let's see. This is just going back to damage assessments, declaration request for Alaska from a Chivik public safety building fire. Okay, we didn't know about this. From the city of Chivak in Kashamutai school district region. Apparently it burned down. Interesting. Didn't know anything about that. And we go into the other requests that have been made. There's 13 in progress. So did not know about that. All right, let's update this here real quick because this is our president's daily schedule. Let's go back in time a bit to see what he did yesterday after we left you. And we see here that he had the bilateral lunch, which we knew about. And then talked about Tom Holman was going to be at the Sticks again. We've talked about that. And then at 6:03, a full lid was called. And today it appears to be, well, pretty uneventful day. 9 a.m. in Canberra, in town press. And tonight they're having the Rose Garden dinner, which we already talked about. And let's see, who's this? Another wonderful secret. People who were raised by conservatives would never have voted for the presidential candidate who isn't out on bail, was found guilty of felonies, and wasn't found liable for sexual abuse. Well, that's an opinion, but apparently a large portion of the country did vote for that person. So he's sitting at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue currently. All right, so we look at WRC. It gives us live news updates on the president's daily schedule and events going on. Of course, we talked about, well, we didn't really talk about, but we've heard RFK is being grilled by the Senate and CDC chaos and vaccine changes. And, we got 7 new updates. Let's go here. GOP senator says he's worried RFK Jr. is diminishing the credibility of the CDC. What is operational warp speed? That's an old headline. That's from the end of his first term. We talked about he will host a top tech CEO dinner, but Musk won't be there. Don't really know why that's relevant. 12:30 p.m. leg not happy. 1 p.m. leg still present. Agreed. Senator Bernie Sanders hits Kennedy over ignoring well-respected medical associations. Kennedy insists he's not taking away vaccines, but acknowledges access depends upon state. Well, that's pretty much state rights. RFK Jr., I asked fired CDC director if she was trustworthy, and she said no. Okay, well, why would you ask her that? That doesn't make sense. And another wonderful secret says measles was eliminated in the U.S. in 2000. I think it was actually more like 1987, but it is making a comeback thanks to plunging child vaccination rates in 2025. There have been confirmed cases measles in 42 states. Well, you're correct. Your numbers are a little bit off. It wasn't in 2000. It was prior to that it was eliminated. And childhood vaccination rates, if you look at where it started, it was a religious community. And it was also a community, if you do your research, which we did on this show and we talked it out, that it was a large population of immigrants, which were not required to the same standards. And as far as the religious community, they were not required to the same standards. So you're correct, but it's not make America healthy again. That's not the argument there for that. So, and Kennedy claims no Medicaid cuts under the Trump administration. DC Attorney General sues the Fed to end the National Guard deployment. We talked about that. Senator Benet and Kennedy engaged in a yelling match over the upcoming vaccine review. I want to know if he had a really cool graphic for it. Senator Bill Cassidy effectively were denying people vaccine. Kennedy calls for new blood at the CDC, claims people did not do their job. Well, every now and then you got to shake people up. Trump appeals to the Supreme Court to preserve his sweeping tariffs. Trump threatens to strip Rosie O'Donnell's citizenships, but lack unconstitutional authority to do so. Why would he even say that? See, that's stupid. Just leave the old hag alone. Jeez. And she should just shut up too. In a rare interview, federal judges criticize Supreme Court's handling of Trump cases. I saw a headline on this, and apparently one court, it was a lower court, it wasn't the Supreme Court, but actually had a live webcam going of some of the hearings, which is totally wrong. So senators prepare to grill RFK. Well, they're doing that right now. Let's see what the new update is. Maybe it's something breaking. Whoa, we went there quick. Chicago suburb warned of lengthy, large-scale ICE campaign. Breaking news 3 minutes ago from NBC News. Residents in Broadview Village, West Chicago, where an ICE processing facility is located, were told to brace themselves for a large-scale enforcement campaign that was scheduled to go on for a month and a half. In a letter sent to residents this week, Broadview Mayor Katrina Thompson warned of disruptions and protests in the area. Federal officials have informed us that there is a large-scale enforcement campaign that's soon going to be underway. The immigration facility located on Beach Street will serve as the primary processing location for this operation, which is scheduled to operate 7 days a week for approximately 45 continuous days. She also warned the situation could draw protests and demonstrations like those seen earlier this year in Los Angeles, where property damages and assaults against law enforcement were reported. Governor J.B. Pritzker has said that immigration officials were expected to descend upon the city in the upcoming days. He has charged that the administration was attempting to use aggressive arrests and the clashes that result as a pretext to deploy National Guard. City and state officials tell NBC News they are still operating on that belief despite a court ruling a similar action in California was unlawful, and despite Trump having floated sending the National Guard to New Orleans. He just always says things. So one of these things, you don't know what he's doing. One of the things that the governor should be doing and the mayor should be doing, they should be telling their residents, if they're coming, we're going to do everything we can to stop them, but remain peaceful. It seems to me to be a very important message that both the governor and local officials should be putting out, because you don't want this thing to spiral out of control on either side of the argument. So they should be trying to convince them to be calm, but I don't think I've heard that plea from them as of yet. I keep hearing the words fight, fight, fight. So, and I hate this chair, by the way. All right, so we do the daily forecast. It hasn't changed a lot today because these fronts moving down are kind of slow. We're going to stall out here in the next couple days, but down here in Lower California and Arizona, Southern California and Southern Arizona are going to have some extensive rains with heavy flooding. That band of rain is going to be slightly coming off of Lorena, but there's another band pushing down from the east coming into the north. So we talked about rains kind of spotty from the Gulf of America up to Maine, and the summer heat's going to cause them to increase. Now tomorrow, well, Kentucky and Tennessee, Central Tennessee, Kentucky, and West Virginia could see some very severe thunderstorms and possibly tornadic activity as this pushes down. And then it's going to calm down to basically just rain. And what do we have here in Colorado? Oh, it's mixed precipitation. It's probably going to be the S word at higher elevations. So there you go. We have not talked about in any of our reviews of news any of the S word. We've seen it up in Michigan. Was it Michigan or Minnesota that they had it up there, but in the higher elevations and only during the morning. So, all right. So today, less than 2% chance, according to the National Weather Service. NATOcast, which is, if you read it, is the Weather Channel, talks about a possibility of tornadoes up in the Midwest. Still a small chance, less than 2%, but there will be some high winds. Now, the winds are going to increase today from the Appalachia with that storm coming, or not storm, that front coming down and pushing back against the mountains with the turbulence. It's going to cause it to push up to the northeast. And there's going to be a chance of heavy winds today. And with the storms associated in the south today, there's a possibility, slight, albeit, that there will be some hail. So let's see. Let's talk about this real quick. Well, disturbance number one, she hasn't become a named storm yet. She's wanting to really bad. And we haven't got the spaghetti model out yet, but it's coming. Broad area of low pressure was formed along a tropical wave over the eastern tropical Atlantic. Recent satellite imagery suggests the system continues to slowly become better organized with shower and thunderstorm activity along its eastern periphery. Environmental conditions are favorable for additional development of the system. Tropical depression is likely to form by the weekend as it slowly moves westward at 5 to 10 miles an hour. The eastern and central tropical Atlantic interest in the Lesser Antilles and Leeward Islands should monitor the progress of the system as it approaches. The next 48 hours, there's a medium chance and an even higher chance over the next 7 days, 90% of it becoming a named storm. So let's keep our eye on this. She's moving west, so we'll see what happens. Our friends down in the Keys need to be paying attention. Let's look real quick at weather warnings. Well, here where I'm at, how about that? I didn't even know this. My phone didn't alert me. Well, it's probably on silent. National Thunderstorm in Morristown has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for southwestern Knox County, Tennessee. North central Blunt in East Tennessee until 3:45. So that's in the next hour. Radar indicated impact hail. Damage to vehicles is expected. Wind damage to roofs, strong siding, and trees. Locations include Knoxville, Alcoa, Farragut, Rockford, Lake Forest, Bearden. Includes Interstate 40 between mile markers 375 and 387, right just short of the mountains there. So if you're listening to me here in East Tennessee, might want to have your weather radio on and be ready. New York has a severe thunderstorm warning in St. Lawrence. National Weather Service has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for central St. Lawrence County in northern New York until 3:45. This band is extending all the way up there. Let's see, Blunt, Tennessee. That's got 44 minutes left, and it's going to be moving slower over. It's going to be moving to the east. Severe thunderstorm warning for southwestern Hawkins in East Tennessee. This area is going to affect areas from Morristown, Rogersville, Bean Station, Russellville, Mosham, Bulls Gap, Thornhill, Morrisburg, St. Clair, Mohawk. Includes Interstate 81 between mile markers 19 and 23. So I'm kind of unsafely located right between the two. Severe thunderstorm warning in North Carolina and Virginia. That's right at the border there. Hillsville, Virginia. If you have your weather radios, make sure to have them turned on and ready. And Montgomery County is always remaining safe as always with their test message. So it's a monitoring message only. Just please disregard. Your citizens, why do they do that? Thunderstorm warning, Montgomery, Virginia. This is all in southwestern Virginia. North Dakota, we talked about that. A wind advisory. It's only got a few minutes left. A freeze watch for North Dakota. It's got 8 hours left. All right. And it's a severe freeze watch. A wind advisory, well, it's about to expire. High wind warning is about to expire. No, it's got 7 hours left. So freeze watch over the next 8 hours in North Dakota. It's going to be the higher elevations up in North Dakota. Could see some freezing conditions tonight. They're not ready for this. And let's see, high wind in Nebraska, North Carolina, special weather statement. That's going to be for the thunderstorms as they move east. Wind advisory for South Dakota. Severe thunderstorm warning in East Tennessee. It's got just a few minutes left. And they extended it and started another one. And let's see, wind advisories, gale warnings along the coastal areas. Michigan has a beach hazard statement. It's got 17 hours left. Strong currents can pull swimmers into deeper water. So if you're on Lake Michigan, please monitor current conditions. Wyoming has an air quality alert. This is probably because there's not a whole lot of wind, and it's for the wildfire smoke. So it's for the higher elevations of Wyoming, Yellowstone National Park, that area. If you're traveling or visiting and you're listening to me, there's an air quality alert in Wyoming. And let's see. There's several of them in Wyoming. And let's see. We're going to keep going here real quick, scanning through. I don't want to make anybody think easily disregard the small craft or craft advisories or any of the gale warnings, but we really need, if we're going to do an in-depth dive of that, go over to the Coast Guard page and check out how they report it, which is much different than what you see here. This is just where they just lump them all together. Air quality alert in California. This is for some of those fires burning, and they're saying that the pollutions could be high enough to cause an air quality part. The air quality alert is in effect until the fires are extinguished. So it's going to take a little bit of time there. If you're sensitive to that, please wear a mask. Don't go outside or limit exposure. So, and coastal flood advisories along the East Coast. Montana has an air quality alert. That's going to be due to unhealthy air from the smokes from the wildfires. We'll take a look at the wind here in just a moment. Gale warnings, flood watches in Arkansas. Talked about high wind in Nebraska. Washington, red flag warning. That's up the Central Cascades. Large sections of Washington, red flag warning due to the potential for fires. See another one there. And flood warning in Florida. That's probably South Florida. No, that is actually Central Florida. So flood warning, there's some heavy rains there. We're going to take a look at it in a minute, because when I first started the show, they were down along the Keys. Let's scroll through and make sure there's nothing. Flood watch, heat advisory. We'll talk about that in a minute. Lots of heat. All right. I don't see any imminent things like tornado watches or warnings. So that's always good news. But let's take a look at the picture on the map here. Let's see what we got here. This comes to us from GEMA. If we zoom out, we can see the entire lower 48 up here in the west, specifically all the red flag warnings coming down for Canada through the Cascades. At the same time, they have the air quality because of the fires, and they have the red flag due to the fire, and then they have extreme heat warnings. So they're just up in Washington at the moment dealing with the late summer effect with the heat. We go down to California and look from Sacramento southward, almost down to Baja. We see the air quality alert. This is from the fires that are burning and the smoke that is coming out. What is that? Why is that red? That's weird. I don't remember seeing that. All right, let's zoom across and look and see down in the Gulf of America. Doesn't look to be a lot of activity, except for down at the tip top there, down in the Keys. Our friends in Key West are actually getting hammered right now with some severe thunderstorms. And since they are a boating area, there are multiple maritime warnings, marine warnings out. So if you're in the Keys and you're listening, please have your weather radio or Coast Guard approved radio on. As we skirt up north, we talked about all the steps from central Tennessee up through southwest Virginia, that band of thunderstorms. It's going to sweep through East Tennessee. Those winds are going to hit the Appalachia and kind of recoil back later this afternoon, causing turbulence if you're flying. And that band is going to extend in storms all the way up past the border into Canada. So have your weather radio on. Let's zoom out real quick and see if anything for our friends down under looks imminent or bad. Looks like west of Adelaide, there's a small band of storms that is causing a little bit of havoc. It's not too bad, but there is a storm. If you're west of Adelaide, Perth, you have a storm down towards Albany that's moving to the northeast. So Perth, Albany, you have a storm center located off of the coast that's going to be moving inland. We'll take a look at the intense rainfall it could produce here just in 1 second. Actually, let's do that now. No, I'm sorry. We're not doing that now. This is the new map we found that gives us alerts for the entire world. So we see all the ones for the U.S. like we talked about. Little blue dot, that's me there. These are all the alerts up into Canada, and you can pick each one of them. You can see there it's air quality. And let's see. These are air quality alerts in Canada, probably due to the fires. And these are flood watches up in Alaska. And let's go down and check. There's no current watches in Alaska, or I'm sorry, in Australia, where our friends are. And it looks as though the closest thing, what is that? There are no active warnings. Okay, well, what is that? Earthquake there's an earthquake alert. This is for west of Australia. What country is that? Don't know. All right. Darwin, you do have an alert. I'm sorry, Darwin, you have a strong wind warning. It's in effect for the waters near Tavlua. Goes in effect from 6 a.m. Tuesday UTC time till Sunday 6 a.m. UTC time. And it is currently, it's currently 1908 UTC time. So still in effect for active warnings. There's 3 of them up there. So official weather statement for this area. Strong wind warnings is in force. Southern waters of Tavalua. Strong wind warning is in force over waters in Niakalita. Probably pronouncing this wrong, and I'm sorry to my friends down under. But please check with your local meteorological agency for further updates. But we do see that there are some strong wind warnings for you. Let's zoom back out here. And where'd we go? All right. Anyone else see anything interesting that they want to check on? That is a earthquake alert. That was a 5.6 in Afghanistan. When did that one occur? Oh, that one's old. Why are we even showing that one? Okay. It was the only red thing I saw, I believe. All right. Let's zoom out here. And let's go look at the precipitation. We talked about the intensity of the rains. Doesn't look like there's going to be much rain. Maybe some down along the coastline of Adelaide, but not anything, no strong band. It's all going to be spotty, so doesn't appear to be anything there. All right, let's look at the lightning real quick because we're going to run out of time. I always seem to babble, don't I? All right, so we look here at Las Vegas, Arizona, Utah. That band of storms. Unfortunately, we're going to be talking about it after these bands of storms go through more wildfires. Chris says, Lord Howe has everything under control. He does. He does. Cedar City, Iowa, you've got a pretty strong cell right to your west. Colorado Springs, back over to the Four Corners, there's a cell that's resulting in some activity. Well, right here by me, we're getting hammered currently. I don't hear it outside, so it's still south of me, but it's coming. Looks like East Tennessee from Loudoun County to Sneedville, back over to Hickory, North Carolina, and Cookville and Monticello, which is Kentucky, to our west. That whole area, there's a pretty decent sized cell. There's a pretty large cell there that's got a lot of energy from the afternoon sun and heat. We see that it's extending pretty much. We talked about the I-81 corridor up through Roanoke into West Virginia. We look further north, Winchester to Hanover, Pennsylvania, Winchester, Virginia to Hanover, Pennsylvania on the east side. The west side of the Appalachia, that strong band. Westminster, Maryland. Maryland may get to test their test messages and more on a test. And it's extending up into the Lehigh Valley, up into Pennsylvania, Reading, and points northeast from there, all the way up to, Watertown, which is Pennsylvania as well. Is that Watertown, Pennsylvania, or Watertown, New York? It's going to continue later today to move over to the east and extend out through Vermont, New Hampshire, and up into Maine. They're going to get some energy with the afternoon heat. Look down here, Key West. Well, Key West, you're getting hammered with rain, but the biggest section of the electrical activity is due to your due west. Go down and visit here in Australia real quick before we run out of time. We got about 10 minutes left. And we see, the Gold Coast, that storm there that has some spotty showers. Offshore has a little bit of electrical activity. But we drop down to New Zealand. New Zealand is currently having a very large thunderstorm. So take that into perspective to your east in Australia. We'll look at the power outages in the U.S. Currently, no one is reporting. Nope, sorry, that just changed. Tennessee, let's see what we got here. Over to the west, Dyer County, 7,245. Franklin County, 3 people are out, but it's orange. Wow. 3 people makes that number go to orange. Where I'm located, well, Knoxville, Tennessee, 8,819 currently without power. Back over to the east of Knoxville in Sevier County, 1,050. And you get up into Claiborne County, and they have 150. Up in Johnson County, it's code red. It's code red. Chris, am I reading this right? Johnson County, Tennessee, customers tracked, meaning they only track one customer. Customers out. It's code red. The electric provider, I got to read this. Appalachia Power, customers tracked, 1 customer out, 1. 100%. So Johnson County, Tennessee can declare a state of emergency because there's 100% power outage. I don't know why, but that one person is making the figures go crazy. All right. Let's look at the winds here real quick. This is our AI generated wind. And if you don't come over here often, AWS, thank you for coming over, by the way. You can check out, this is the AI generated world map of wind. We can change it to show everything from the waves to the tides. You see there, it just refreshed. Most of the high winds out of the United States are coming from our great white northern buddies down through the central Midwest into the Rockies, where they're kind of being dispersed. There's not a lot of air movement off of either coast currently at the moment, minus down here around Cabo, Mexico. And we see the hurricane here. Well, she's churning right along. She's got a good eye form to her, and she's got lots of energy around her. So unfortunately, she's headed west. So hopefully she will deteriorate more with this wind force shear coming off to the north, hopefully cause it to deteriorate some more. And hopefully that will not affect Hawaii. We can hope. What the heck is that? What is that? I've not noticed that. Is that an island? Okay. Ooh, shiny. You see, this is the way I work. Ooh, shiny. I see something. Remember the day I was tired and I gave you the weather for Antarctica, telling you it was Australia? Yeah, well, it's sleep deprivation. And we look at it, we are going to have those high winds like they were talking about in Australia. It appears in Australia you're going to have a very windy day. All right, let's zoom out of this real quick and see currently the heat risk. Well, we talked about that up in Seattle, in the Midwest, and in the deep south of Texas, New Mexico, Oklahoma, and down into Florida. You all are having code orange and code red days. What that means is the heat, well, it could affect you, code red, if you do not have proper cooling methods, sunscreen if you're outside, and plenty of hydration. Code orange, same way. Please stay hydrated if you're in those areas of the West, the deep South, Central Florida. Let's take a quick gander at some current temperatures, and then we'll get out of here for the day. And I got to change this because we're still, well, let's start with our friends in Australia first, since we're already on Celsius. And go down here and see, whoop, too far. We go down to Sydney. Sydney, your high today is going to be 17, partly cloudy skies, partly cloudy throughout the rest of the week going into the weekend. And your high is going to be 27, but that's not going to come until Monday. Melbourne, well, Melbourne, your high today is 14. Currently, it's right around 5. Sunny skies, well, a few clouds mixed in there. Sunday is going to be windy, and then chances of rain are not going to be really affecting you until midweek next week. Tuesday. Your high will be in the 20s, but that's not coming until the weekend, so hang tight there. Adelaide, well, you are currently right at 8 Celsius. Your high is going to be 15, cloudy skies, no rain in your forecast until Tuesday. Tomorrow is going to be your warmest day, then it's going to start dropping off over the weekend to back down to the teens the first part of the week. Perth, well, you're currently right around 10 Celsius. Your high is 17. You're going to have some stormy, rainy skies. That's going to continue today, Saturday, Sunday. Your high is going to be only in the teens. Your highest will be, well, not coming until you get sunny skies on Tuesday, 16. So enjoy 17 today because it's going to get colder. Up in Broome, well, 27 Celsius, bright, sunny skies. Don't anticipate any clouds until Monday. It's going to continually warm up until just after the weekend. Darwin, well, Darwin, you have sunny skies. You're 32 Celsius right now. You're going to stay 30 in the 30s for the next couple days, with it only being cloudy by the weekend in the beginning of the week. And did I forget anybody? Did I forget anybody? I don't know who I forgot. Let's see. Over here, I'm at Brisbane. Brisbane, I tell Brisbane, your high is 25. It's currently 16. Cloudy skies today. It's going to stay in the mid-20s all through the weekend. Start warming up midweek next week when you get more sun. All right. And did I say Melbourne? I'm sorry if I didn't. Melbourne is 14 Celsius. High is going to be coming up on the weekend. It's when it gets windier in the 20s. Yeah, we did talk about that. All right. So let's go back up here to the United States real quick before we run out of time. And we see tropical storm depression there that they were watching. The spaghetti models haven't started quite yet. They're getting there. So we'll keep an eye out for them over the next couple days. I anticipate that we'll start seeing spaghetti models and it coming to probably the Gulf. So Keys and the Gulf will be the most affected. All right, well, let's start down there. Let's see. If you're in Key West right now, what is it? It is currently 81. Your high is going to be 85. It's going to be rainy, though, for the next couple days. It's not going to get nice and dry until Monday, but you're going to stay in the 80s. We'll have to look on social media and see if they have any flooding. 85 right now in Miami. That's going to be your high, but you're going to keep rain with you for the next several days going into the week. Up into Tampa, where we know we have quite a bit of followers and listeners. Oh, I missed it. Tampa, St. Pete, Tampa. Currently is 88. That's your high. It's going to be cloudy. Tomorrow, rain moving in, but it's going to get warmer in the 90s. If you're going to visit Disney World for the weekend, well, sunny skies are going to switch to rainy skies. It's going to stay in the high 80s, hitting the 90s just by the end of the weekend. So there you go. If you're going down there. And Atlanta, you're currently 84. You can anticipate that being your high. It's going to stay in the high 80s, partly cloudy skies until Saturday. When I plan on driving, it's going to be rainy, high of 86. 77 currently in Knoxville. High is going to be around 80. Rainy skies, sunny skies Saturday, and the high is 80. Rain Saturday once again. Washington, D.C., well, currently you're right around 85. That's your high for the day. Rainy skies. Probably going to rain on the Rose Garden. First big meeting there, and they have rain. So be on the lookout for that. We'll hop up here to New York City. You're going to have a high of 75. Sunny skies, but it's going to get warmer by the weekend. It's going to heat up to almost 90. So enjoy your weekend if you're up there. Burlington, currently in Burlington, it's 82 and raining. It's going to start cooling off until you get to Mondays, where you're going to get down into the 50s and 60s. Jumping over to Chicago, we see high of 65 today, partly cloudy skies, and it looks like you're going to be warming up slightly over the weekend, where it's going to get nice and sunny. Jump down here to Mobile, Alabama. If you're down in the Gulf of America, high of 88 today, nice and sunny skies. It's going to continue to warm up over the weekend with sunny, clear skies. Dallas, they are not home tonight. I think they're overseas. They get a high of 101 degrees today. Partly cloudy skies are going to return Friday, though, and Saturday. A little bit of rain. It's going to be cooling off, so hang tight. Let's see where we have the hottest temperature currently. And who is the winner? 98 in Austin. And who do we have over here? 92 in Vegas. So Austin is going to be the hot point for the day. Pueblo at 93 degrees. If you're in Pueblo, Colorado, high is going to be 94 degrees, partly cloudy. Don't worry, tomorrow it's going to rain and start cooling off over the weekend to returning sunny skies. So if you're over on the West Coast, Redding, California, 97 is going to be your high today. Cloudy skies returning over the weekend, but going to bring you down to the 80s. So Eugene, Oregon, let's just tell that weather. It's going to be a cloudy day, high of 89. That's going to be your high because it's going to start cooling off into the 70s, and by midweek, next week, you could see the 60s. Let's jump up to Anchorage. Currently in Anchorage, it's 59. Your high is 60. You're going to consider this a warm day because the next couple of days is going to be in the 50s. All right, I'm running out of time here, guys. Let's see. Let's hit this real quick. Talked about the smoke up through the Midwest from all the fires, and in Canada, it's coming down with code yellow conditions for air quality in the middle of the country, and also down here in the east in Georgia and South Carolina, Texas along the Gulf of America, and Boston. You have some conditions up there that are currently code yellow. We look at the live air quality map. Well, we did. There we go. And we see the reason that the air quality is lower down in the south is a fire down in the Gulf of America. And we see that dust is interrupted briefly, and this is what's going to give that tropical front just a little inkling of. Is it Friday? Let's. Well, where did I don't know where. To get more updated times. Most recent earthquake was 50. That 2.5 hours ago. 4.5 and then 5.6 2.5 hours ago. And we'll scan through over the last 24 hours. That is the largest, but I do believe we are in a moderate global seismic activity for today, meaning that there could be some big earthquakes. Chance of one being up to 6.0. We've already seen 5.6 in Afghanistan. Currently, there are no tsunami watches, warnings, advisories, or threats. And the volcano alert, well, Hawaii, Kilauea, you're code orange. Great Sitkin in Alaska, you are code orange. Shishaladadan, you are a code yellow. That's mainly for aviation because of the dust. Or, well, I guess it's the ash. And let's see here. We don't really have time to cover this. What is this one here? Is that just a central point? I guess. All right. 6 new notifications. Let's see what we got. Thunderstorms, coastal flooding, high winds, and the earthquake. Those are the most recent notifications. And we didn't get a chance. We need to get into that. We haven't talked about any large fires. Baltimore had a 5-alarm plus fire the other day that was very large. And it looks like, let's see, 10:05 Eastern Daylight Time. New Hampshire had a 4-alarm fire. And Baltimore had another fire today that was, well, it was a very large fire. Brooklyn, they had a fire earlier today on the first floor of a 4-story multiple dwelling. They transmitted a working fire, which is a 10.75. And let's go over here to this real quick. Let's check all this out. This is all the aviation in the air currently. It's hard to believe that is above our heads, but let's just take a little peek, see if there's anything crazy. Don't see anything. They all go dark when they get down here in the Caribbean. Isn't that interesting? So, let's see, do we have anybody fueling up there? It's a lot of dignitaries flying. And what do we have over here? Typically, they're along the coast, and they're not squawking. They're not telling you who they are. So that must be some secret squirrel mission. And a Canadian flight. Okay, coming into our airways. Oh, this one's coming all the way over from Europe, a C-17. This one is going towards the 737 from America, coming from Bermuda, and it is headed east. A military plane. Interesting. You don't often see them in Bermuda. So, all right, we're running over time here. If anybody doesn't have any questions, we're going to wrap it up real quick. We always look at the Bit Defender to see what's going on. And we see, as usual, the U.S. is always the one getting hammered. Very rarely do you see outgoing from the U.S., but you see a lot of incoming cyber threats. Red are attacks, yellow infection, white is spam. If you don't know who it comes from, don't open it. And always have some type of defender, web defender or something when you're online. All right, I'm going to get out of here, guys and gals. Thank you for allowing me to tickle your ears today. If you were in Australia and on Jurg's radio, please, I really would like everybody to come over and join us on YouTube. Just search us out with the Sportcat shows. You'll find us, and you can come in here and join our lively chat, which is usually always great, but we're getting late in the show when people have to work and do things. So everybody have a great day. I will be back tonight. If you're fans of the CBS US version show Big Brother, 10 o'clock tonight after the live eviction. And understand there's also some controversy. We'll talk about that too as we go. So tune in tonight, 10 o'clock Eastern time. We'll be talking all things CBS Big Brother. We'll be live on Jurg's Radio and Dare Talk Media, and of course on the YouTube. So come over and find us. Everybody have a great day. I will talk to you later tonight. I'm anxiously awaiting Friday. Everybody have a great day and a great afternoon. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night to wherever you are in the world. Sportcat, well, I'm getting the hell out of here.